All right, happy summer, guys. It's David and Amanda, Real One Group, San Ramon branch here, coming back to you for another awesome video, another tip for you to incorporate into your real estate business, and save your deal, save the headache. So today's topic, Amanda's going to share with you. It's one that is actually very recent. Even last night I had a discussion with Denise and Sandra about this specific item, and a couple other agents recently as well. Janelle, I'll give you a shout out. She's on vacation, but well deserved. She's still we're still dealing with a specific issue that came up, but Amanda will fill us in.
All right. So we're going to be talking about the RPA, page 3, section, item number 8, A, B, and C. It's items.
Sorry, it's just this one right here.
Thank you for showing. Items included in and excluded from sale. So what our main things for this video is that we need to be specific when you want the sellers to include an item in the sale and or exclude an item in the sale. So we need to be writing those things down. So I'll have David kind of share what some examples are that we've been dealing with pretty recently with our agents.
Right. So, the RPA is sometimes somewhat ambiguous, or sometimes it generalizes. So, for instance, like window coverings. Now, you can call car legal and say, hey, what's the definition of a window covering? Or you get 10 people together, you might get, 5 different answers. So if there is something that your buyer, so let's say you're representing a buyer, right? I always like to play that game. And so Amanda's representing a seller. And in this case, my buyer is fascinated by the valances and the drapes and this and that. And we're just assuming that as a buyer that, hey, those are going to stay, right? They're fixed, they're attached, they're on the rods and all that stuff. Vertical blinds, this and that. For the most part, most of the time, someone's not going to pull those off. But just be specific and say, hey, drapes are included, and not, sometimes you even have to be even more specific to say, the drapes currently in the home are included. So it's not like a switcheroo happens. So this situation comes up usually after the close of escrow, where now the buyer's got the keys. They're super excited, right? They're going over there, moving in, and then boom, you see bare walls, or not even bare walls, but you see, a hack job because whoever pulled them off just ripped them out, and they did a terrible job.
Left the holes in the wall. And
right. So be specific in that, and again, it's page 3 on the purchase contract, this version of it, I should say. And number 8, B, and it should be noted too that what's excluded in the MLS or the flyers, it may not, it's not included in the purchase contract. So make sure those items, it may relate to something in the purchase. On the MLS that says, hey, the chandelier is not included. Put that down. Of course, everything's negotiable, right? So if you see if Amanda has a listing and she puts down chandelier is not included, ideally what Amanda should do is, before the property goes on the market, have that chandelier removed, right, and have the
replaced with something else.
Yes, replaced with something else, something comparable, or something something nice that's going to look good. But the worst thing, it always comes up, right, that, well, I want that chandelier too, as a buyer. And then it's a point of contention between the agents, between the buyer and seller. And you as an agent, you guys have enough to do. You guys are starting to argue about a $600 chandelier, or maybe, it's a $1,000 chandelier.
But be aware, because on the MLS, it also mentioned that the items, even if the items say included or excluded, there's always it's not included in the sales price sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes it's personal property, and so you don't want to have that situation where you're arguing about it and you're fighting, and then you have to get involved, or I have to get involved, Amanda needs to get involved. So try to be specific. Drapes, current drapes in the dining room are included, or removal. So that's another thing that the gals I just talked to about it last night was they've got a spa that's not affixed or attached. It's not a built into a deck system. And it's just there. And the buyer and the seller didn't take it. So in our opinion, based on that, it was not included. It was not supposed to be part of the purchase.
They didn't ask for it either.
They didn't ask for it, and they didn't want it. The buyer did not want it. So it's not something that the seller should have taken it. But sometimes who wants to move a freaking 600-pound spa, right? So, but what we can do going forward is specifically excluded. And you can put that right in 8 C. Items excluded from sale. Seller will remove spa. So any unique items that you want to keep, you want to not include or exclude, notate those things. Anything that is of value, that, again, unique item, something that catches the eye and you want to negotiate that, negotiate it. But be specific. If you're in a listing, again, make sure that, hey, the offer might come back, but then do an addendum or a counter if you're countering and say, hey, these are the items that are excluded, so you get that out of the way, and there's no chance of ruining a great transaction. You've gone through the whole process, and then now you come and you're arguing about it between 2 agents on a small item, and then you ruin that relationship.
And I just want to point out one thing. I know that, sometimes when we do the open houses, a lot of clients will come in and say, what's included? What is the sellers willing to sell? Things like that. So you as a listing agent, you should be asking your clients, hey, is there any furniture that you do want to sell? In addition to on top of the purchase price. So it doesn't have to be included in the sales price. But, if they want to add that to the top of their price point and say, hey, this is including the chandelier or the entertainment center, or because there's, sometimes the entertainment centers are built for those. Well, not even built in, but they fit.
Oh, they're customized.
Fit well, yeah, customized fit or whatnot, and it just is easier probably for the sellers to leave that behind because maybe it doesn't, fit with their new house or whatnot. But just know that, like Neva said, everything's negotiable, and just ask, but also make sure that you're doing your job to document it, just disclose it, put it on the RPA on page 3, and go from there. Right.
And worst case, if it's a whole host of stuff, then just have the sellers notate what they want and the buyers do it. And then that can be a personal property deal between the two buyer and seller, between the two parties, and you don't necessarily want to get involved in that. But have the point here is have those items addressed. The approach of just being like, oh, well, we're not going to say it, they're not going to say it, and then you find out at the end, you end up dealing with. So just address it up front, hey, and get clarity on it. And sometimes sellers are still trying to figure out what they want to keep, what they want to give, what they want to donate. And so have them, if they have a whole laundry list, especially the sellers that are moving out of state or out of the country, they might have a whole host of items that they want to get rid of. So it's always nice if the buyer gets a chance to have first dibs on those before the garage sale happens or something like that.
I have a quick question. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
So my parents sold their Tahoe house last summer. What they were planning on doing was to sell the house furnished with the furniture, because they weren't going to be
dragging it down here.
Dragging it back down to the Bay Area. We didn't have another house to use that furniture in. So we hired a realtor up there who specialized in the area, and we made it pretty clear that we wanted to pretty much sell it as furnished. What happened was the buyers that came in, they were coming from the South Bay. They were going to be moving up there. It wasn't going to be a second home. They were going to be moving their house from San Jose up to Tahoe.
Sure.
And so unfortunately we had to then, we of course liked they liked their offer and everything like that, but it didn't include the furniture, only a few pieces. And so then they ended up left to sell or give away, donate or whatnot. The
new owners or your parents? Okay.
So how would you put that into a contract, or what would have been the best?
The easiest way would have been that, hey, if your parents' agent would have negotiated and said that, hey, any items that they don't want, the buyer doesn't want, buyer will go ahead and dispose of and be responsible.
So
for that.
You could put that in.
Yeah, you can negotiate that and have that. So and again, those are all. That's a great scenario situation. And so the responsibility falls on the buyer in that case, right? And it could just be labeled in one simple sentence. We don't need a complex, long legalese, a bunch of mumbo jumbo that goes too long and it kills the deal. You don't want to kill the momentum. You don't want to kill the deal. So just simplified language. Who's doing what? Boom, you get it.
Because we might have clients that are moving out of state that aren't going to be wanting to take their furniture. And so that's just a little tip that we can give them. Hey, make sure you negotiate this in or have that in there and somewhere in the contract to
Right, to specify exactly the instructions. The main thing is the communication. And then when the deal is done, we see it all the time, right? An agent doesn't want to necessarily have to deal with the cleanup on, well, there's crap left over or this or that. And, it says on the contract that, they're supposed to be free of debris and all of that stuff, but sometimes that doesn't translate and you end up hiring a junk hauler or something like that. And then you can, if you have to do that at the end of the day, there's small claims court, there's other reimbursements, there's this and that, but try to work it out where if someone gets stuck with a bunch of junk and they have to get rid of it and they have to hire someone, then keep those receipts, document those, and then pursue those.
Should they reach out to RERM?
Sure. Real estate risk management is a great, vehicle if you're enrolled in it. If you aren't, we would highly recommend that you do get enrolled in it.
Talk to me.
Yes, definitely talk to Amanda, get enrolled, and those folks will help mediate your situation and get your deal done. So, all right, guys. So that's it for us. We always appreciate your attention, your time on this, and hopefully this will help you. And I know it will actually. It'll save your deal and save you headaches as we go forward. All right.
Thanks,
Happy
guys.
summer.
Happy summer.
Officially. All right. Take care. Bye.
Hope you don't mind I asked you that.
No.
But that just popped up because I was like,